Hey everyone, welcome back to Coding Out Loud. This is JT. Um, Trying something new today, trying to stream on both YouTube and Twitch. So if you can see this on either, let me know. It says that it's working, but I just checked and it seems like it might not be. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Either way, thanks for coming back. I know it's been a couple of weeks since my last stream. Just kind of got caught up on some life stuff here, as life usually happens. But today it's going to be a bit of a longer stream. I've got like 3 hours here. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through some of the old or some of the issues that we got on our GitHub repo for our project called Flashbook. For those of you who are not familiar, Flashbook is a site that I'm working on as a art gallery for tattoo artists. The idea is that as a tattoo artist, if you want to get your work seen by other people, the typical path to get that your work out there is to post it on Instagram. The problem with that method is that for someone to find you, they either have to be looking for the hashtag that you're using and be in the same area as you, or you have to be told, hey, go check out Bob. He's a great artist. This is his Instagram profile, right? So it's really hard for your work to be seen. So what Flashbook is it's a way for artists to set up a profile in a centralized place where people can come and find artists, obviously. They can sort by location. They can sort by the kind of work that the person does, not guy, sorry. Lots of women artists out there too. Or they can search by like the actual content of a specific tattoo. And the idea being like, if someone's posting photos of like a skull, for example, they can tag it with skull. And now people can filter by skull and they can see all of the tattoos that have ever been done as a skull, right? The other kind of part to this is it allows the user of the site to create basically an inspiration board, kind of like a Pinterest board of work that they like, so that they can then send it to their artist and say, hey, I'd like to do a new project, and here's some inspiration for this project that I'm thinking about. Go take a look, kind of thing, right? So that's how the site operates, and I can give you guys a little demo here in a second. Basically, kind of the why and the what. Why are we doing this? Well, I've been dealing with some mental health issues myself for the last little while, and having an overloaded issues list can really feel overwhelming, even for the best of us, right? And so I want to pare this down and get as much done as I can, even if they're just small little things. We obviously aren't going to be able to get through all of them for sure, but we'll be able to knock out, I'm going to say 3 or 4, maybe 5 if we're lucky, and we'll just kind of go from there, because progress is important, right? I mean, you always want to be moving forward, even if it's super slow. I think it's super important to always be making progress. So to give you a kind of overview, GitHub issues have basically been like my brainstorming space. So like think of, when I'm, out with friends, or I'm in bed and I'm right about to fall asleep and I have an idea, right? Instead of just making some kind of random note, I put them in the GitHub issue so I have a place to track them. And then as I, flesh out the idea, if I do, I can close those issues right with a pull request kind of thing. So once they're out of my head, I can stop thinking about them and stop ruminating about them. Oh, I should do this and this and this, right? I can just get the issue out of my head, and it's more or less dealt with for the immediacy. And then, I can come back, in a time like this and start working on them. So we'll just start going through them and see what we can accomplish. But first I will give you guys a quick look at what Flashbook is. It's a public site. It's open for use right now. So let's say you are an artist. You would go to I create tattoos. If you're a viewer, if you're just looking to get tattoos, you just go I need tattoos. And then it's basically a photo gallery, right? So you can search by, let's say, I guess Calgary's going to show all the ones for all the guys here in Calgary that we've signed up so far. But let's say you want, I don't know, is there fish? Okay, fish. So you can filter down by fish tattoos, or if you're looking for like a colorful tattoo, Not all tattoos are going to be colorful. So let's hide those. So we got some colorful ones there. You can search by location, if that's like within a geography kind of thing. So if you're, let's say, in Calgary and you're willing to travel a little bit, you can. And then you can also search by like hourly rate. So if you have a budget, for example, and you know your project's going to be a 30-hour sleeve, half sleeve kind of thing, you can set your hourly rate, minimum and maximum. And then maybe you care about the number of years of experience that artist has, right? That's not always the best judge. Like there's some artists that come up that are brand new and are amazing, and there's some artists that have been around forever and they suck. So it's not a great indication, but some people might care about that. So we've allowed that as a filter. And then if you kind of drill into a specific photo, let's just go to this eagle here. It's got a rose down at the bottom here. It's got a sun at the top, and it's got an eagle. It's black and gray, and it's realistic. So, and then if I wanted to, I could add it to an inspiration board if I wanted. And these are all per user. So I'm signed in, and I can create as many inspiration boards as I want. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking at here. And so let's just head over to our repo here, go to our issues and see what we got. Let's make this a bit bigger here. Continue working on React tests. So one of the things that I'm still very new to is doing tests for JavaScript stuff. Obviously, I've been doing lots of tests for the back end in PHP, but the test suite for Cypress is very, very thin and not very good. It doesn't cover much at all. And so one of the things I'd like to do is continue working on those. The gallery modals, so like the thing that you see when you open up a photo, for example, like this thing, I'm thinking should maybe look better. What better looks like, not sure, kind of figured out. Another thing, so that the image URLs, so when we actually open this, if we look at the image address, it's got the full like s3.amazon AWS in front of here, which is obviously a valid S3 URL, but we can fix that by setting the right flags, I believe, in the Laravel file systems configuration. So we can take a look at that. One thing that we should do, so I've built this site very, very quickly. So I've only been working on this site for 10 weeks and it is public. So a lot of it was just kind of like get things out, get out the door, work on the next feature, get things out, work on the next thing, get it out kind of thing. And so there's a bunch of places where I use modals and I kind of do them in the same way, but they're not standardized really. Like I basically just copy and pasted a bunch of code to make the modal. And we really should kind of refactor those out to use a common component that is like the flashbook modal that can then be kind of customized from the outside so that it's a lot more reusable. So we have a couple of ideas here from my partner here, so that I'm just going to leave those for him. Accept videos and reels, not just photos. What we actually talked about, and so let's go like this. So allow Instagram videos, but only host the thumbnail, redirect to Instagram for actual video. So that was something we had talked about, so we can do that. Again, possibly not on the stream, but these are just some of the ideas that we can take a look at here. City location lookups. So these are, so right now when you are an artist or you're creating a studio, you obviously enter where you are kind of thing, right? So like what city or town you're in kind of thing. It is a free-form text field right now, but it does use an API to do a lookup to say like, and the reason we use this API is because in the database, not only are we storing the free-form text field, but we're also storing the Latin long. And I'll explain why we do that in a sec. But we use the API to look up the Latin long. And the API is I'm assuming backed by either something like the Google Maps API or the Bing Maps API, because it seems to be pretty forgiving in how you spell things and stuff. Now, the reason we store the Latin long is because in MySQL, if we go to, let's say, just go fish for example. No, let's go. If we go to Toronto, actually, sorry, if we use the location feature within miles and kilometers, so MySQL has a function, and I think we talked about this in the last stream. MySQL has a function like a stdistance, I think it's called, where if you feed it 2 Latin longs and the world object, it can tell you within a certain number of miles and kilometers how far they are apart, and we just obviously filter out if they're greater than a certain number of kilometers that are passed in. So we need the API regardless to take that Latin long. But what Steve's idea here was that we would also use like a kind of a formatting API. Again, like his Swift complete suggestion is not necessarily the one we would use. He was just using it as an example, but some kind of like proper sorting and formatting service. So it's something we can look into. What else do we got here? City location lookups, make an FAQ page, install Laravel Pulse, some more filtering options, following artists, load the entire profile on first launch. So as an artist, if you subscribe and pay for the highest tier, so we call that senior artist level, you can subscribe or you can hook in your Instagram profile. So as you upload photos to Instagram, like you're used to with your normal workflow, after you finish a project, you take a photo, you upload it to Instagram. We will poll your Instagram profile every hour. And if we see any new photos, we'll pull them in. But the way we do this only gets the last, I think it's like the last 10 or 12 images. Or I guess posts, and if you've posted videos too. So the last 12 things that you've sent to Instagram. So if you are signing up with us for the first time, for example, and you want to ingest your entire Instagram profile with us, like onto your profile here on Flashbook, we don't do that by default. We can, and I've written an artisan command that can do that, but it's basically like a one-off thing. For right now, while we iron out the bugs, I'm okay with that because for the most part, the users on the site are people that we're talking to. Like we're actively searching out artists, going to have a conversation with them and basically showing them the site, explaining the purpose, giving them a demo, and then asking if they want to sign up as kind of like an initial market research kind of thing. If they say yes, then I offer this ability to like go and ingest their entire profile. I don't think that we need to make it a day one option right now. I think once we've solidified that it works, and because I've only done it a couple of times, once we've done it a few more, then I'll be more happy to kind of like bring that artisan command stuff into, I'm going to call it like the mainline code kind of thing, and not just make it a one-off thing. Filter by featured artists. We're not actually doing featured artists right now, so I'm not super concerned about that. This is mostly done. Tattoo grouping, don't need to worry about that. Analytics, I think, would be interesting to talk about. So the idea would be that for paid accounts, we would track the number of visits to profiles and stuff so that they can see how well any marketing campaigns they're doing are directing people to their profile here. Just to kind of give them a little bit of maybe not feature parity with their current website or their Instagram profile, which they wouldn't have at all with Instagram. But we want to be able to say at least like, you're getting 100 people looking at your profile per day or something like that, right? We already have a very privacy friendly analytics platform called Plausible, which doesn't track basically anything other than just like I think it does some kind of hash. Actually, we can go take a look at it. So Plausible. So how we count unique users without cookies. So they create a daily salt and checks your website domain, IP address, and user agent. So basically, like it does hash the user ID or the IP address and the user agent, but it's hashed daily. And so we can't track anyone beyond that single day. There's no cookie that they store or anything. So we don't know who is who. It's just a hash of that data kind of thing to be GDPR friendly kind of thing. So I'm very, very privacy focused myself. I don't want to collect any kind of personal identifying information that we don't need kind of thing. So So what do we want to do first? Let's fix the S3 URLs because this should be a fairly quick, change. So let's go to Laravel file storage. I think it is the docs. And we will go to S3 disk configurations located in blah, blah, blah. Variables match the name convention used by the AWS CLI. So I think no, okay, it's not that. I think it's this. I think it's the AWS URL value that bucket name. Yeah, I think it's this AWS URL. So if we just go to and I'm just going to hide my screen for 1 second. I don't think there's anything private in the env file, but I just want to make sure. Where is the AWS stuff? Oh, you know what? Okay, so this is actually going to be a bit more complicated than I originally expected. No, I'm okay just literally trying this right now, but yeah, crap. Okay, so no, this is not going to work because I've actually misconfigured the, I'll flip this back to the desktop here. So I will show you the problem. Actually, I guess I can just tell you what the problem is. So if we go to colorful, let's go to like this photo, for example. We'll have to talk to Mike because some of these are definitely not what he wants on here. Okay, so if we go to the copy image address and we go into our text editor, so AWS has a way to basically say if you send requests to s3.aws.amazon.com, they will proxy this stuff, right? So they'll say, is there a bucket called this? And I wonder if we can do this with. Okay, so let me finish my thought. So okay, so if we go back to how it was, if you send your traffic to s3.amazon.com to them with the host header basically being this host, they'll look for this bucket and they will immediately return just the results of that bucket, which is helpful. However, if you go to this domain, the results are going to be our website, right? So what I should have done is called the bucket images.flashbook.co. So what I'm thinking is we're going to go to console. Again, I'm going to hide this for a second. S3. Yeah, I acknowledge, create bucket. Okay, so I now have a bucket called images.flashbook.co, and I will show my screen in just 1 second here. I'm just thinking before I flip back here. So what is in here? Just tattoos. Right, there's the processed folder as well. Okay, okay, I will, actually, no, I won't, because I'm probably gonna have to do the AWS copy command, and I think that needs a key. So we're gonna go, I think it's called AWS copy. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong, no. Copy files between AWS buckets. Is it AWS S3 copy or something? Oh, sync. Okay, so AWS S3 sync. Wow, gotta learn how to spell sync. S3. So I can unhide my screen here. Okay, and so what you're seeing right now is I'm just copying all of the images from the existing bucket, this flashbook.co bucket, to images.flashbook.co. The next thing we're going to want to do, yeah, I need to private that again. I need to go back to my server, and we want to, we're going to have to create this stupid policy again. Permissions. Oh man, this is annoying. Okay, buckets. Okay, I guess I can show what I'm doing here. So I can go to images.flashbook.co, go to the permissions, bucket policy. So we're gonna have to edit this. And this is going to be images.flashbook.co, save changes. I also need to go to the IAM of Flashbook prod, yep. And Flashbook Co production. So this is going to be images.flashbook.co. Images there. Okay, save those changes. I'm going to hide my screen for a moment so I can go into my env file and update it to use the correct bucket. See, flash.env. Images.flashbook.co. All right, so if we close out of here, art config cache. Oops, sorry about that. If we go here now and we refresh these, are we getting the correct URL? Okay, so it's got the images.flashbook.co. Okay, so we're halfway there now. So now what we can do is we can say, I'm going to, again, hide this just for 1 second, just so I can go back into the env. And we now want to, if we say AWS URL, and I realize this is hidden, I apologize, .flashbook.co. Okay, and I will save that so you can see what I've done. So I've just added the images.flashbook.co to the config. And then if I go to dash.cloudflare.com, and I will probably I'll have to hide this for a second. I Very sorry that we're having to do this so often, but I just want to make sure I don't leak any API keys because I've done that so many times on so many streams. It's kind of getting annoying having to rotate keys so often. And so if I go to Flashbook, and now I can show again. So we will go to DNS and we will say, so we want to add a record. And so what we're doing is we're going to say the record that we're creating is images.flashbook.co, and we say it's a points to s3.aws Amazon aws.com. We are not going to proxy because it is only they only listen to HTTP because they can't issue a certificate. So now if we refresh, okay, so that's not working. Why is that not working? If we go dig images.flashbook.co, dig is not found. Interesting. Images.flashbook.co. Okay, so locally it's at least resolving. So why? What is it saying for the copy image address? Images.flashbook.co. Okay, so that's technically working. I think it now needs to be a bucket policy to allow all stuff. So if we go to images.flashbook.co, what is it? Block all access. Yeah, so we're allowing images.flashbook.co. Okay, so AWS S3 CNAME, virtual hosting of buckets. This is what we're looking for. So virtual hosted style requests. CNAME records. Okay, so images, yeah. You might prefer, yes, this is exactly our use case. Any bucket can be referenced, blah, blah, blah. So images, blah, 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 by using CNAME. Your bucket name must be the same as the CNAME. Yeah, images. Yeah, if you create a CNAME to map images, both that and that will be the same. Oh, okay. So that's what I did wrong here. So this should be images dot flashbook.co dot that. Right. So what they're looking for is the actual full bucket name in front of the s3.amazon AWS blah blah blah. So if we go, like, if you look here, so they have like the region name, but that's never been the thing before. So I'm not going to worry about it unless it continues to break. CNAME and bucket name must be the same. Yep. Okay, so let's do another. Right, because pardon me. Yeah, so that needs to expire. Where am I looking? Is this? Let's go just to any other. Oh, that's the same one. So let's go, what is it? 4.2.2.2. Something intercepting my DNS? It must be, because the TTL is still counting down from the original one. Interesting. Unless images.flashbook.com. Okay, so at least that's propagated. So I just got to wait for my local resolver here to time out. So that'll be in 1 minute. And then maybe we'll get a better response here. Testing and prod is always fun. How close are we? 47 seconds. Okay. What else can we look at in the meantime? So, okay, so that should be done now. The bucket is there. I think for now, I'm going to leave the contents of the other one in there, even though we're not using it for anything. Yeah, I think that's fine for now. Let's see, 19 seconds. Okay, so we'll see and hopefully see the updated value in a few here. Okay, so we're good. So it's resolving correctly. So now if we refresh this, do we get some photos? We do not. Why do we not? Flashbook.co. Still not getting it. Okay, so let's take a look at so when we go to the network, cert common name invalid, right? Is there something else we have to do with the is it trying to upgrade it to SSL and then failing when it does? Probably, right? Yeah, it's trying to upgrade it to HTTPS, but we don't want it to. We want it to be at HTTP because Amazon, like AWS, does not do a certificate for yeah, use the same name to use the host name to determine the bucket name. Use any S3 endpoint in a CNAME alias. Yeah. So why is it trying to upgrade? Because I'm pretty sure. If we go inspect. Yeah, so it's returning the HTTP version, but then Arc is like trying to upgrade it to HTTPS, even though we don't want it to be. Why is that? Curious. Let's go into Table Plus for a second because these are. Oh no, they are the same. Okay, so what the heck? Is this like a new thing that Chrome is auto upgrading connections to HTTPS and requiring it now? I swear I've done this 1,000 times before and it's always worked fine, so I'm not sure why it's not working this time. S3 CNAME. Yeah, so okay, so we've done this. Yeah. Images.flashbook.co. Is there anything like access points? No, we don't need to do anything in there. Default encryption. Now I'm curious if we just. Okay, so let's take this image, for example. If we just go to this image, does this. Okay, so it does work. It's that something about this site is trying to upgrade the connection mid-flight. Why would that be? Because yeah, like if we go, we just copy this just to make sure we're copying exactly the same thing like that the site is showing. Yeah, so it sees the image there. It's just that something is trying to upgrade it from HTTP to HTTPS. So if we clear this out and we refresh, yeah, why is it doing that? So if we go to the headers, yeah, so it's adding it the S. Why? So it's not being cached. This is odd. Like, I don't think there's been anything in Chrome in the last little while that has changed that functionality. Okay, I think for now, I'm just going to hide my screen again for a second here. I'm just going to revert back to how things were just for the time being because the site is technically broken right now. And I will fix this kind of after hours when the usage is down. So if we go like this, so okay, so we're back. So we have a functioning site. So at least the photos work now. I will worry about the S3 stuff later, just when I have more chance to kind of dig in and figure out why it's being upgraded automatically, even though we don't want it. So I think for now we will skip that issue. I'm going to add, so let's just edit this comment for now so we have some context. So when we added the AWS URL equals http images.flashbook.co to the site's env file, the page would send HTTP, but for some reason the browser would attempt to upgrade the connection to HTTPS and then fail due to a lack of a valid certificate on the AWS side. We need to figure out a way to deal with this. Should we put it behind a cloud front distribution? I mean, that seems like probably the way to go. But again, I don't want to spend any more time with it being down until we figure it out. So for now, we'll just skip that. So continue working on React tests. I think this is probably an easy, well, easy is a strong word. I think this is probably the next best thing we can work on. So let us go to our npx Cypress open, I think. Okay, so we do have the end-to-end testing configured. We'll just use Chrome for now. Close that and that. Okay, so yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, and this is 7 weeks ago that I started working on this. Yeah, there's definitely not much here. But if we go to like the senior artist, so the idea is like, it can register for an account, it can subscribe to an account, all this stuff, right? Yeah, that's fine. Blah blah blah. Okay, so some of our tests are even failing, which is, I mean, it's good that we're checking these right now. Can create an artist profile. Okay. Which test is it on right now? Okay, so a couple of things we need to do in the background here. So number one is we need to start another tab here, and we need to say art. So reverb is working, but AI is not. So we need to do art queue work. Where create an artist profile. Okay, so this probably failed, I think. So why was it failing? So it tried to log in, visit dashboard. Okay, so it was probably, yeah, right. So it was probably expecting, so I've changed the path. So specifically when you subscribe to a senior artist profile, and like I was saying earlier, this is the highest paid tier. So we're actually redirecting you back to edit some specific details that are only available for the senior artist. So if we go into senior artist spec, yep, it can subscribe to senior artist plan, blah, 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 expect that, yep. So we want to, okay, so it should contain that, blah, blah, blah. Then expect subscription type tier to equal senior artist. We want to visit. Oh, so we're intentionally visiting the dashboard. So why is that failing? Okay, so get to shop. Oh, because that is not a thing anymore. So we want to create an artist profile. Can create an artist profile. So for now, we're just going to get rid of that. Let's rerun these again because so originally when I had created these tests, you would create a okay, so yeah, so this is going to fail again. So you would say that like I work at this shop and it's called Bob's shop or whatever. And it's just a very simple text field. Now we have a more kind of robust studio system kind of thing so that like a studio is an actual entity within the system and artists can be associated with that studio, whether they are a permanent artist, which is one kind of form of being associated. The other is like a visiting artist. So one of the things we heard from some of the artists that we talked to is that they travel around a lot. And so we wanted to have a way for artists to say, in 2 months, I am going to be at Studio X for these dates. And that way, if someone is searching for, let's say, they are not in the tattoo artist's current location, they're in the location of the studio that they're going to be in. If the person searches for artists in that location, this artist will also show up because they will be visiting there at some point. And so we made it a lot more, yeah, like I said, robust. So there was a couple of changes to these things. And again, like I said, I have not touched these tests in a while, obviously. So let's fix these tests to make them work a bit better and see if we can, pardon me. So yeah, so this enable contact form field. So does that have an ID? Probably not. Let's go to the register. Text input, password. So which page is this in then? Oh, it's probably the artist details. Profile details. Is this the display page? Yes. Okay, so permanent studio, that's that. Enable contact form. So does this switch have an ID? It does not at the moment. So can it take an ID? That is kind of annoying. Right. So if we go up to up here, Unless you React, so it's got to be able to take an ID. Yes, okay, it does take an ID. So we'll call this enable contact form, sure. And then in our test, we will say get enable contact form. And what are our options here? So we can saw a click there. Sure. Let's try the test now. One thing I really do like about Cypress is how it does the test watching. I know Pest can do it, but I usually have Pest running in my terminal behind my development screen, and so it's not super useful. And the other screen that I have over here is just the 14-inch Mac or 13-inch MacBook Air screen, so it's very small compared to my main screen, and so it's really hard to see and not super useful. So again, I need to I need to be better than and figure out a better way to do this. Okay, so that test is now passing. Can display an artist detail on our profile page. So we want to see this is not a thing anymore because we are not checking. We're not setting a shop. So let's see how this goes. So what else is it failing on? Get share. Oh, right, because we removed this. Okay. Cool. Can they upload a photo? Yep. Well, maybe. What is it looking for that it's not finding? Asserted. Oh, right, because we're now just bumping you back to the dashboard. So this should just be dashboard. And upload a photo. Okay, cool. So they've been, the tests that we currently have, at least, are passing. So looks like I was going to work on a test that would basically subscribe to the senior artist. Okay, so testing login. I feel like that's probably done so far. What are our tests here? So what are the things that we actually care about? So let's go to our actual browser here of the site. So I'm just going to log out of here. So what are the kinds of things that we want to care about? So we click the login, we get to a page with some photos. Do these have, I don't think they have an ID on them. No, they do not. So button. So I'm just trying to think here how we can. So okay, so what I'm thinking about in my head, the problem that I want to solve is like, okay, so let's say there's gonna be a photo, at least one photo attached to the site. We want to make sure that when we go to this page, we see a photo, so we can look for, I guess, like an image source that has some kind of path that we can predict. And then maybe that it's a button, that it lives within a button, because the button is what pulls up the modal. And so we can check for that. We can check to see like if the modal appears when we click on the image, kind of thing. So I think, okay, so let's document our intent here and say, okay, so not for senior artist. This is going to be for, actually, you know what? Okay, so senior artist, test Cypress integration. Let's close that. Test Cypress integration. Yes. So So let's go, what do we want to call this? Just basic, basic usage. Sure. Add it there. So we're going to describe this as basic usage. Actually, you know what? Let's be specific here. Let's call this the gallery. Do I have tests for the gallery already? It looks like various filters shows. Oh, okay. So I guess I've already started on that. So that's kind of nice. So let's get rid of that. So let's say, how do we want to, okay, so let's go back to our tests here, go back to the specs, and we'll run the gallery tests. So it opens when visited. Yep. There's various filters available. Okay, so that test fails on locations. I'm probably going to want one for, so I'm just thinking out loud here. We're going to have to go to here. And so we're going to need to click on advanced filters and then get the hourly rate and the experience. So we're going to say advanced filters, hourly rate, and this is going to be experience. We're going to have to find this first. So this button needs an ID, so that's fine. So we will go to the gallery, and please don't judge my JSX. Again, this is horrible, I realize. So we're going to say gallery filters, I think is the thing that we actually care about. So it's text input, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, here's the button. So we want this to be ID equals toggle advanced filters, sure. So we want to go to our test, and we want to say sci.get advanced filters and click it. Imagery styles, locations, and I bet you the location one doesn't have an ID on it. So we'll go location. We'll take in an ID. Wait, how are the other ones getting an ID? They must be taking the title or the object key. Let's take a look at those actually. Multi-select. Okay, so where is the ID? Yeah, so it's using it as the object key. Okay, so in our location one, we will do the same. Oh, it is taking the object key. Are we not? Oh, okay, so it's called distance now. Okay, so this should be distance. All right, let's go. Okay, so Chrome. So what is it going to fail on this time? Get experience. Okay, so that one's not being set. Let's go take a look at that one. So gallery filters again. Ugh, I hate when I do that. Gallery filters. And so we are looking for, so this is the advanced filters. So it is years of experience. That, and then this, and then years of experience. Is this going to get this test to pass? Opens when visited. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll check to make sure that clicking on the buttons actually shows a message when we can't find any photos. Cool. Okay, so the next thing we want to say is it opens a modal with the photo in it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is actually make sure that there's an actual photo in there. So side is that yes. So how do we want to do this? I want to say gallery modal should be visible. Yep. And we're going to have to figure out a selector that will get us what we want. So if we say, how are we doing gallery right now? I think it's gallery photos, actually. Gallery photo. Yeah, so it's this button that will open it. So this needs an ID. What do we want the ID to be? Because it doesn't have an idea of how many photos are being displayed. So it's probably going to have to be, I guess it could be ID plus photo ID. Let's just see what kind of stuff we actually get with that. It's going to be wrong, but that's okay. Do I not have any photos in here? All right. Oh, yeah, okay, figured. Okay, so if we go search for this thing, so there's the button, and it is, okay, so we want to add a dash to it. ID dash. So what I'm looking at here is, so if you look here, this ID is what we're generating. So it's the, in our database, we're using UUIDs as the identifier in the database, and for these images. So we're going to have to find the actual ID and then find it. So we will say, so it's going to be something like ID plus some known photo ID. So we're just going to say photo ID for now. Obviously that doesn't exist because we haven't created a photo. But what we can do is, do we have, so one of the other things we use here is the Jeffrey Way's Cypress, I want to call it like Cypress helpers or something. It's a package that Jeffrey Way, like the guy from the Laracasts organization, put together to help write tests like this. And he's basically proxying a bunch of the Laravel-ish things. Like it basically proxies stuff from JavaScript to the Laravel side. So you can do kind of Laravel-y kind of things in your tests and test, like to basically set up a database, for example. So what I'm thinking is we might actually, I don't know if it's going to be robust enough for us to have it create like a full photo, like tattoo object in our database here. So we might have to go like upload a photo and then get its ID, store it, and then check to see that ID exists in this, in this later in the test here. So let us, so if we go senior artist, can upload a photo. So I'm just going to copy all of this for now. We're not going to use all of this, but just to get some kind of boilerplate going here. So we're going to say, upload a photo and get its ID. Yes. Attach file. Yep. Drag and drop. Submit. Okay, so we don't care about the should. What I want to do is I wonder if site get submit contains blah blah blah. We don't need to check that it actually contains anything because we're just doing the thing. We want to get the tattoos children, and the first one. But what I want is not to, I basically want to get the value of this. I don't actually want to test it though. I wonder if Cypress can even do that. Cypress.io. Documentation. So I guess actually once we've uploaded it, then we can use the so now we can use the Laravel thing to actually go get the ID from the what am I trying to say? The database kind of thing. So Laravel commands. These are the simple stuff like login, logout, CSRF token, refresh routes. There is like a way to actually just straight up interact with the database. I'm sure of it. At least I thought there was. Laracasts. What am I trying to say? Laracasts, Cypress, GitHub. Yeah. Okay, so there is a way, I know it. So login, blah, 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 current user, log out, create. Okay, so actually we can probably just go sci.create. What's the format here? So it's app models tattoo. We probably have to create a artist first. So I think I created a sci.artist. Pretty sure that was one of the things I added. So I had login, scroll to the bottom here, I think is where I put them. Yes, okay, so sci profile. Okay, so sci.artist. Okay, cool. Yep. So artist ID sci.artist. I don't even know if this is going to work, but we can try. Let's just try, just see if that test is obviously failing. Opens a modal with the photo in it. Okay, so create. Yeah, I feel like that's not the full thing. Did I make one for tattoos? Of course I did not. Profile. Yeah, because that's not going to work. Okay, so the next best thing we can do is do a... So one of the other things that you can... that the Cypress package that Jeffrey put together, you can literally run raw PHP. So if you go... Oh, did I not get the whole thing? Of course not. Okay, so back here, Laravel commands. If we go copy this whole thing, whatever. Again, we're going to change it in a minute. We're just going to say command equals blah, blah, blah. We don't need to do this testing thing. And we are just going to app models tattoos factory create. Yep. Yes. Okay. So then, so we want to get that, and so it's going to return the items. We can say then it's going to put the tattoo in there. So we should be able to do tattoo and get rid of that. So if we go back to Chrome, let's see if this test works. Probably not. Probably messed something up. Okay, so test body. If we inspect this, they have some cool console stuff. So the result is an object. So we've got the ID there. So if we now say, so we're given back the object. So we can say, yep, gallery modal should be visible. Let's see if this works. Okay, so that's fine. So it did click it. That's good. It's obviously the picture itself isn't working, but we can deal with that later. But it's because the gallery modal doesn't have an ID on it, which is fine. We can go fix that. So we're going to say gallery modal. And this is going to be fixed. So this is the one we care about. So we're going to say, say tattoo modal, just so that we know what we're looking at here. And then we'll say tattoo modal. Get tattoo modal. Okay, so expected to find element tattoo modal, but never found it. Okay, so that's interesting because it should be there. Let's take a look and inspect. So instead, if we're okay, so the ID is there, so it should technically be visible, but obviously we're too high up in the tree. So let's go to gallery modal and let's take this off here and let's put it on. Let's say this div, because that's really what we care about. We want to make sure that the thing that's displaying the image is there. So let's rerun that test. Expect the tattoo modal to be visible. It still thinks that there's no like it's right there. It should be visible. Like it's ID tattoo modal. Is that not? Get selector tattoo modal should be visible. Curious if the visible part is causing some problems because it might be. And again, this is definitely a problem with myself. Like it's me not understanding Cypress very well. Like I'm still very new to JavaScript testing, as you can obviously tell. But I'm curious why it doesn't think that that Cypress the tattoo modal is not there at all, because it very clearly is. Like if you click into this part of the test. Inspect. Oh, right. Sorry, wrong thing. If we inspect this, the ID here is tattoo modal. So why it thinks it's not visible is interesting. I'm wondering if it's because it's like just like a single point, because the image is basically nothing. And so it's thinking that it's not technically visible because it's a 0 point size. I think that'd be kind of weird, but if that is the case, then let's go back to our gallery modal and do one. Oops. Pardon me. Dialog panel. Maybe that's where ID equals. Oh, right, because I was using the hash. One day I will be better at front end, but today is not that day, apparently. Yes, okay, of course, now it passes. Okay, so we now have a test to make sure that the modal opens, which is good. That's kind of a core part of our functionality. Let's go back to Arc here and close a bunch of this stuff. Close that, close that. Let's go back to our gallery. Okay, so what are the other things we care about working that are kind of majorly important? If you click on the artist link, it should go to their profile kind of thing. We want to make sure that the profile actually works. So let's go back to PHP Storm and go into our gallery spec. And so we can get rid of that because that's taken care of in the closure. And so we can now say it opens the artist's profile when their name is clicked on the button of the image. I'm curious why it thinks that that's an error. I'm not passing anything. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's take a look. So let's say when we want to create another tattoo. And if we visit the gallery and we click on the what do we want to call this? The artist profile. And actually, so what we're really going to need is the tattoo dot artist ID. Yep. We should. What's the thing to validate that we're at the right URL? One of these has it. Side URL should have string. Side URL should have string. How do we want to do this? Because it's really going to be their artist name, and it doesn't look like we're getting the whole thing. So let's go tattoo equals that. And we want to return the tattoo artist. Yes. So now we're actually getting the artist. Now we can say artist dot ID, and it should match the artist. Should have string artist dot slug. That's fine if it's failing, whatever. Let's see how these tests are doing. It's probably going to fail. Probably because we don't have the ID set up on the button yet to click the name. Yeah, it's going to fail on the artist profile with their ID, so that's okay. And actually, we should just say artist.slug. Oh, it's probably going to be... okay, so this is going to be annoying because if we have two IDs with the same slug, it's technically invalid HTML. And an artist is going to have could have multiple images on the same page. They probably will if they upload more than one. And so how are we going to do this? We are going to say, if we do this and we say with artist, oops. I'm curious if it actually gives us back like a relational object here. It probably won't. how do we get this to if we say console.log sci.php command. I don't know why my computer's freezing like that. Let's just try it again. And we're going to do an it only, so we're just going to work on just this test for now, so we don't have to keep running all the other tests first. Okay, so how do we get, is it inspect? No, how do we, I was just doing it a few minutes ago. Where, so it returned nothing. Interesting. Oh, probably because of that. Right. Okay. So now we get the artist, but we will also have access to, oh no, because it's only loading the artist itself. It's not actually getting the tattoo. That's annoying. So it's not creating the object like I had hoped. I was hoping that it was going to create the tattoo object and then have like an object within it that would be the relationship. Oh, actually, no, that's exactly what's happening. Okay, so we have the artist right there. Okay, cool. So now we can say, so we're actually given back the tattoo, but we're going to look for the ID, no, our artist profile ID, and this is going to be the tattoo ID because that will be unique on every single one, but it should point to their slug. So we should say, what am I doing here? Gallery modal, artist profile. So where is the artist name? So this is the thing that we're looking for here. And so we're going to say ID equals artist profile ID plus ID. Yes. Let's rerun this test now. See how close we get. Artist is not defined. Oh, right. Tattoo.artist.slug. Okay, so let's go back here and inspect this. So how close did we get? Probably not very. So it should have been that. So why did it put the link in the wrong place? Let's go look. Tattoo model, link. Yeah, so it should be the artist name, and it should create the link with that. Crap. Okay, so I'm betting the link does not take in the ID prop. So we will have to wrap this. I think just in a span for now. And let's try and rerun this again. The reason we're doing this is just so that it only encapsulates the name and not like their city, for example, which is included as part of their this featured area. Still not finding it. Okay, so artist profile ID. Just inspect this one, whatever. Like, am I looking at the wrong area? Like, I swear it's not compiling this span back in. Like, it's just this max width 48. Oh my God. I'm looking in the wrong stupid. Ugh. Okay. Let's Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Gallery photo is the thing that we're caring about. God. Okay, link to profile. Okay, so here's the thing. If we say ID equals artist profile ID dash plus photo.id. Cool. Test is passing. I don't care about this failure. It's not important. So we have a passing test. So now we can close it out of there and we can rerun this whole test suite just to make sure we haven't broken any other things. Artist profile when their name is clicked on the button. Okay, so I mean, it is adding the ID. It's just not working correctly. So why would that not be working actually? Artist profile when their name is clicked. Okay, so why did that not? Oh, okay. Sorry, it did. Okay, so the other kind of weird thing about how this Cypress package works is that it just for the instance while it's running the tests, it changes it has like a whole other .env file that's specifically set up for testing, and then as soon as the tests are finished, it flips back to the original one. So it only uses that testing env while the test is running. And so what's happened is like it worked and then the test finish and then it flips it back to that old env. And that's why I was showing the not found error that it was basically, it's totally fine. So, okay. What else do we want to check? We want to check, let's refresh that. Pardon me. What do we want to do? We want to say, do we want to check studios? What other kinds of things do we care about? How about that a board can be created? I think that's a good thing to check. So let's go to our tests in the gallery. And so actually, let's go to gallery and let's copy this and gallery modal. Yes, we want to add that, and we're going to call this gallery modal. Okay, let's get rid of these. Actually, we're going to need some of these, so let's leave the last one. And let's say, so it can actually is in this gallery one. With the photo in it, so that's technically checking that the modal is there. That is it? Yeah. Shows must find any photos, various filters, opens and visited. Okay. It can it displays a list of. Actually, I'm gonna make a few here that we can use just temporarily. They're not going to have any content in them. So we're going to say this, that, and we're going to duplicate this a bunch of times. So we're going to say it displays a list of existing inspo boards. It allows you to create a new inspo board. It allows you to delete an existing inspo board. What else do we care about? It displays a list of existing inspo. Yeah. It allows you to add the current photo to an inspo board. I think display, because it's basically CRUD. There's no editing, it's just adding or removing. So yeah, I think that works. So we will take this test or this code and we'll dump it in here and we'll get rid of this one. And now let's start it onlying to this. Okay, so we have a tattoo. We want to create that thing, and we want to click into it. Oh, actually, you know what? I think we want the other test because we want to click into the actual photo itself. We don't want to go to the profile, so we're going to do that. I guess I got the whole thing. So okay, so we have a tattoo we've created, and we want to go to a login as a different user, because an artist is never going to be adding their own photo to their own inspiration board, or probably not. And I'm not as concerned about that functionality. If it works for everyone, it'll also work for the artist. So if we go to Laravel commands, I know there's one that I added that's like create a user and then log in as it. Okay, so if we log in, if we do sci.artist, okay, sci.artist, what does it want? Why? Cypress commands named artist. Const user is this. Take in a name if we want it. Let's just see what happens. I mean, this should work. Go back to our specs and gallery modal. I mean, it seems to work. Go back here. Can we click on that? Of course not. So sci.artist. So we want to click on the tattoo, and then we want to get the boards. We want to click on it. And so what do we want to say? We want to basically, we're actually going to want to create some boards just to make sure that they actually show up. So let's go like side dot. Actually, so we're going to say, yeah, that's probably the better way to do it. So login is artist is true with the name artist one. Okay, so login. Do we get the ID back? Probably not. I don't think. Login. Inspect. So we do get a user back, which is good. So if we say const user equals log, do we have a user ID that we can just do stuff with? Probably not. Undefined, yeah. Okay, so and login. Is there a way to? What I'm trying to do here is basically like skip all the manual stuff and just get right to adding an inspiration board, but that might not be possible. So we might just have to do it in a different order here. So what we might have to do is say, okay, it only it can manage inspo boards. And so basically we're going to log in as this user. We're just going to do all of the things right in the thing. So we're going to click the boards button. So we're going to have to add that first. So where is the inspo boards drop down? Okay. Inspo boards drop down. So we're going to give this an ID. Menu item. Is this? Oh, drop down menu. Okay, so does this have an ID? Okay. Drop down menu. It's got to be this one, right? Drop from resources, JS, components, inspiration boards. Yeah, so it's got to be drop down menu from here. And let's say props, yes. And menu as div, menu button. Because again, we don't know if they're sending the props for the menu or the menu button. That's annoying. Let's say is there anything else we can identify this with? Probably not. I mean, for now, we can just go button ID equals nothing. And then ID equals button ID. And then for the inspo boards drop down, we can say this is the button ID is going to be the boards drop down. We run our tests. Okay, so it got the thing. Okay, so so the first thing we're going to want to do is add a inspiration board because the person will not have one. So we will say ID equals boards add sci.get boards add. I want to click it. I want to go to the create new board button. Oh, actually, no. So this actually needs to be. Oh no, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. So we want to create a new board. ID should be a thing here, right? ID equals boards add, and we will go and add that to the menu item thing. Apparently it doesn't have it, which sucks, but maybe it will still take the props. Okay, so create new board, and we want to click it. And so why is that not opening a menu? Click. Oh, okay. Okay. So cool. So it's opening the modal and then it's just disappearing, which is fine. Like the test is disappearing. It's not actually disappearing. Okay. So we want to get the, we want to enter in some data in here and save it. And so we're going to have to get those. So we're going to have to say get, we're just going to make up some selectors here. We're going to say board whatever. Okay, so I'm going to call, it's a title and a description. New board title. Is it type? This is where we, like, you start typing things. So test board. And we're going to say sci.get new board description. Yes. And we're going to say use board submit. And now we're going to in the boards drop down, we want to make sure that we can see boards drop down. So yeah, so this should actually be the boards drop down button, because now we want to actually get the whole list of boards drop down, like the list of them, and make sure that we can actually see this new one in there. So we want to change boards drop down to boards drop down button. And now we want to get to the inspo, I don't even know what it's called now. Inspo boards drop down. What happens when we click it? So show create new board model. Create new board modal. So what did we call these? New board title, new board description, new board submit. Yeah, so this should be new board name so that it matches. And then new board description. Okay. And then this is going to be ID new board submit. Okay, let's go take a look. Cool. Okay, so now that's passing. And we want to look at what happens after submit. Oh, okay, so it posted. Posted, and then get the gallery. Okay, so it's actually redirecting to the gallery, which is itself. Okay, so that's okay. That's an inertia thing, so it'll just redirect itself back to the same site. And if there's no visual, if the href hasn't changed, it'll just do a data reload, which is how we make sure that the new board should now be showing in the list of things. So now we want to get the boards drop down, and we want to get the children, and we want to get the first child, and it should have text board. So again, this is not going to work yet because we haven't implemented this this ID yet. So let's go back to our inspo boards dropdown. And so the dropdown menu is now, let's get rid of this commented stuff because we obviously don't use it. So this is going to be, so we're going to make another one called menu ID. This is going to be boards drop down menu. And this is going to be menu ID equals, again, nothing if we don't give it anything, which is fine. It's going to be menu ID. Okay, so we're going to say Boards drop down, children. Okay, so what are we getting on the first thing? Get boards drop down. So it's not seeing that ID. So what are we not doing? Inspect. Oh, it might have just been because we haven't updated we ran the test since we updated that. Okay, so we're obviously feeding it something that is not exactly what we're looking for. So the text was boards. Okay, so so the menu, the first child is the actual word boards. Instead of messing around in Cypress here, I'm just going to go back to our active one here. So we're going to go tattoos. And so we're going to click on this and we are going to inspect this one. So I'll zoom this in so it's a little easier to see here. I hate that. Oh my God, that's annoying. How do we... I don't want you at all. Okay, so boards is that. So when we create a new board and we do some stuff, blah, 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 get sent back to this page. Boards now, so where is the ID? It's very interesting because it doesn't even have the ID of boards drop down. So I'm not sure how it's, okay, so boards drop down. Oh, okay, so I see what it's doing. Okay, so what we actually want, because it's a button, this whole thing is a button. So we want the first, which is this thing, the first child, which is this button. Then we want the first child of that, which is this. Where is... Oh, because, okay, so this is a headless UI thing. So one of the helpful things that the headless UI does is it basically pulls what you're trying to do out of the specific place in the DOM, which can be helpful and it can not be, depending on what you're trying to do. In our case, it is not helpful because we would expect it to be like a child up here. Instead, it's I don't know if you can see down at the bottom, very bottom left, it's like 660 by 0. And that is not something we're currently looking for. So what we really need is like an ID on this. Okay, so what we don't care about is that. We want so see, we're mapping over the boards to put in the list here that would have like the word add next to it, which is would be this create new board, I guess. I'm not sure why that's... Oh, right, because it's already part of that board. So one of the things when you create a new board off of a photo, it automatically adds it to that board. So if we remove it, now this is that word add here. So we can add it again. And so that's this X mark or the word add kind of thing. That's the difference there. So Um, pardon me. So how would we put an ID on this? Board drop down. Because yeah, it's putting the div outside of the being a child of it, which is real unfortunate. It's like using this data headless UI portal kind of thing. 52. Yeah, so it's this menu items thing. So can we do an ID on this? ID. Spect. Yes, okay, so that has a boards drop down. So that's good. So now we can say, well, that actually might just make the test pass right as is. It might not. We might have to go one more level deep. But boards drop down. Okay, so we have to click. So why it's not working? Because it's not been clicked again, probably. Boards drop down. So we want to boards drop down button. Yeah, so we're gonna have to click this again. Now there should be this boards drop down. There should be a perfect. Okay, so now, so yeah, so it's seeing that there's this board here, which is good. Okay, so this is, we're gonna break these up here. So we're gonna say add board, verify that board now shows. And we can also click that X mark to delete it to make sure that it's not in the list anymore. So what are we doing here? We want the, where's the X mark? Okay, so here, so we're going to say ID equals, and this is going to be delete board and the board ID. Yep. Drop down button, get that. No, so we want the oh, right, because we're going to need to know the board ID itself. So we might have to do some tabbing around here. Actually, no. This is the better way. So boards drop down, children first, click. Then we want it, the first should not. I can never remember what the should, is it dot not have? Dot text, yes. Okay, so almost certainly not going to work, but let's try it. Okay, so we don't need to click it as many times as we think. So what are we not doing here? Where's drop down button? Yep. Oh. Should have text. Okay, so actually we don't even need to do that now. We should just be able to do this. And this is probably not going to get the right button, right? Yeah, exactly. So we need to find the right button inside of that. So it's getting the you can see like the failure like expected this paragraph tag. So what we really want is we want to get one level deeper. So one like the dot button of this paragraph. Turn first. Words drop down. Children. Get. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to work the way I think it is, but cool. Did work. Awesome. Okay. So that takes care of this whole flow. So if we, actually, okay, so I think that's a mistaken, like a false positive or false negative, I guess, because hitting the X shouldn't remove it from, like, shouldn't remove the board from the list. It should just remove it as being like, okay, so if we go to have text, test board, get the button. Yeah, so it's getting all of the buttons and it's basically checking the first one, which is obviously not the right one. So we still need to narrow it down to get that specific button. Okay, so this is not working. How do we want to do this? We can say, is there like, yeah, it's going to be hard to figure out without this board ID. So if we, can we just like type, yeah, like the tab key to tab through things? Cypress tab through. Yeah. Cypress real events. Fires native press event. It can fire one key. Make sure that this event is global. Yeah, because basically what we need is like, yeah, switch the focus for accessibility testing is we basically want to like tab through rather than trying to find the specific ID of the board that we don't have the ID for. And I'm sure, again, there are better ways to do this. I'm not a front end tester by any stretch. This is like really my first real foray into it with this project. So I know I have a lot to learn about this, but for right now, this is the only way I can think of doing it. Pardon me. So, yeah. Uninstall Cypress Real Events. so let's go to Cypress Real. What is it? Cypress Real Press. Yes. So if we go to first, should have text. So let's click on the button. So I'm just going to try something here. This is definitely not going to work. I just want to see where we end up when we say sci.realpress tab and then click. I just want to see what where we are, because we don't know. Sci.realpress is not a function. Okay, is there something else I have to do to install it? To your Cypress support index. Cypress support index.js, so we can import that. To the type section, JS config, compiler options. Apparently we don't have a types, so sure. Okay, so if we go back here, is this going to work? So when we press tab, inspect. Okay, unsupported key tab. What? Is that not the whole? Unless it's like you have to capitalize the T or something. Which would be extremely stupid if we have to, but fine. Okay, so it did that. Okay, so where was it? Okay, so it was the, let's try this twice. So what it had done is it had shrunk the, yeah, so it's like it's hiding the boards, but it's not clicking the X. Okay, so let's go back to our live version of the page. Okay, and so if I click there, that's really interesting. So if I click tab, I don't know if you can see, but watch the X. Like it's going to immediately be selected and then immediately go away. Like I'm not selecting, I'm not hitting space or anything. It's just like as soon as I hover it, or like focus it, it's being activated. So why is that? Because it should be its own button. Like I'm not doing any like weird JavaScript to say like on focus or on active click. So it's basically this. So it's like the on click, but instead of on clicking, it's like just on focus or something. It's like being added. That can be removed. Yeah, because I'm not clicking it. Like I'm definitely 100% not clicking the X. I'm wondering if it's because it's like it's a button within a button, maybe? I don't think it would be. Yeah, it's just a menu. Hmm. Okay, so if we go back here, so it's a button. Yeah, it's just sitting in a bunch of divs, so it's definitely not like a button within a button issue. It's just an SVG that makes an X. So I don't understand why when it's just being selected. Close this again and we go. Okay, so removed space and added. Yeah, it says added. Okay, so if we go back in, yeah, as soon as I tab to it, it's closing. So on click. So let's do an update board. And then, yes, on success, it's doing the set show update. I'm curious if it's actually, no, it shouldn't be, but let's go take a look. So is it actually sending out like an HTTP request to try and actually toggle it? So if we do this, I'm doing this all with my keyboard here. So yeah, so it's not sending out the HTTP request. Like there wasn't a third one there. So why is it drop down menu? Yeah, like as soon as I hit tab, the menu goes away, which is definitely not accessible for sure. Like I know that you can use your arrow keys to go up and down, but that seems yeah, that is very interesting. Because yeah, this is the click handler for it, and it does toggle it, but I'm not clicking it. I'm just selecting it, like making it and giving it focus or making it active or whatever. It's not actually, or yeah, I'm giving it. I'm not clicking it is basically what I'm trying to say. Like the click action is not actually happening. So why is it trying to toggle the inspo and change this show updated? Because this isn't even running. So it's not adding or removing. It's not even trying. We know that because update board is not being called. It's like it's just doing its own thing and thinking that, hey, this has been clicked. I'm just curious if we remove that for a moment. Yeah, it's still doing it. Okay, so it's something outside of this. Drop down menu. So I'm curious then if it's on the gallery modal, if it has something to do with where we're clicking here. So the way it works is this is a dialog from the headless UI package, or headless UI package. Pardon me. And if there is any boards, it gives you like basically like you'll only have boards if you're logged in. So this dialog won't even show, or this dropdown won't even show if you're not logged in, which makes sense. A non-logged in person is not going to have any attached inspiration boards, which is the intended functionality. So what I was thinking is maybe there was something that was like if you click outside of it, just close the dropdown kind of thing. But again, that doesn't make any sense. That is so weird. Why is that happening? Okay, so the alternative is we just make the whole thing the button, like the ad is. And so if we go change this to a button, this to a div, get rid of the on-click here, put it up here. Oops, this should be a div. Okay, so now it should function more or less exactly the same as the ad. It's just going to have the whole thing is going to be the button. So if we, okay, so now this whole thing is the button, whether you're adding it or removing it, which is fine. Okay, so if we go to our spec, yep, and we say tab and then space, we shouldn't even need the click. Boards drop down. Okay, so it definitely closed something that we didn't mean to close. So let's go tab space. We'll get this. Oh, one more tab. Beautiful. Now it's actually checking the right thing, because there it's got the first one, gets the button. It's still getting the wrong button first. Don't need that. And so what we really want, and so this is actually testing the wrong thing. We should not have like an SVG of the X mark is really what we're checking for. First should not have is there a way to do a selector here? I don't even know. Children first. Space. Okay. Again, we're going to want to do this. Okay, so that's going to remove it. Okay. Remove the board. Yep. And then what we want to check is if we are hovering over. Okay, so what I'm thinking about is like if we go back to our modal here, that's annoying. And we go to, because the test is still running. Yeah. Let's back to the right env. Okay, so this add button is basically what we want. So if we tab through here, does that show up when it's active? Of course not. It's only on actual hover. You know, I'm fine with that existing all the time. Yeah, I'm not even worrying about the opacity. It's just going to be there the whole time. Whoops. Oh, right, because it's at default opacity 0. Where is... yeah, so that can go away. This, yeah, add. So we want to basically make sure that it sees the word add. Where are we? PHP Storm. Children first should have text add. Is that the right? Do I have it like capitalized the right way? Let's pull words drop down. Yes, add like that. Okay. Yeah, so it didn't actually click the button this time. Okay. So what did we do wrong here? So real press. So tabs space. Is that not doing the X? Just a minute. Okay, for right now, I'm going to disable this whole flipping back and forth with the env swapping. Where the hell is it? Index.js. Okay, yeah. So let's go. I'm just going to turn that off. So we're just going to always operate out of this so that we can see what the problem is. Okay, so real press after. So what are we? Tab. All right, because we're not logged in. Ugh. Okay, so I guess we're going to have to do some raw PHP here again. It's annoying. Okay, so we're going to get the app models, inspiration board first. This is going to be the board. We're going to say get boards delete board ID. And then we're going to click it. And then we're going to get the boards drop down and it should not, should have text add. That's going to fail because we're not actually setting this ID right now. So let's go do that. So words drop down. So this button is going to have an ID of that plus the board ID. Let's inspect this and figure out why it's getting the wrong ID. So it should be getting ID headless UI menu item RS. That is definitely not what we're trying for here. So in fact, all of this is being duplicated. So what we can do is this, that's outside of this. So otherwise it's just that. Otherwise it's just that. That can be pushed out. So now we've simplified that so that boards drop down toggle. Just want to see if that's going to change the name. Let me see in this test. So inspect. Yeah, so this ID is still not being set correctly. Headless UI menu item RS. It's the button that should have the ID of the thing. That's the boards drop down. So boards drop down. So this button is literally just a button. It's not anything. Group flex, W full, item center, justify between. So it's definitely this. Span class board name. So it's like this button or this menu item is like injecting the ID from it into the child. So like this div is really that it is this drop down menu, and then the children are these buttons, but it's giving it an ID of its own so that it can find it to do its own stuff. Okay, so ID boards drop down toggle, blah, blah, blah. So if we wrap this, if we give this just a div, just so that it's something else, so that we have ownership of the child of that. When we go to rerun this, is that still going to show up? Like it's basically what I'm concerned. Okay, cool. And so it asserted, so it did remove it, which is good. Okay, that's fine. So we just got to open it up again. That's fine. Okay. Boards drop down. So we just need to open it again in our test. Boards drop down. Button click. Okay, so first, okay, so it's saying that it doesn't have the text add. I would argue with that, but this should be, oops, inspect. Okay, so, no, don't want you, I want you. There's no way you are the data. Oh my God, because it's an iframe, because it's Cypress. Okay, so how do we get... Okay, so test board. Okay, so we got to get, so this can, I guess, change to a span with a type class of block so that we can keep the styling without messing with the positioning. So this is going to be a span. This is going to be a span. And they're going to be block elements. So that way we can just do the children, so it won't see the div as a separate thing. Like it'll see the span as what we're looking for in the children. Test board. Oh, okay. So the text was test board add. So we just want to do like a should contain or something. Pardon me. Should. Yeah, I don't know all of the select chainers here. So is it like contain? Yeah, contain.text. Okay, so if everything works as planned, this test should succeed here. Okay, we have a perfectly working test here. So it's the whole life cycle of the inspiration board testing. So it shows the create new board. And actually, are we checking to make sure that it says that? Doesn't, we're not. So let's even do that. So let's go. The first thing we want to do, we want to assert that it should contain text, create new board, create new board. And that. I think I probably broke all the tests by all those refreshes. I don't know. We go here, Google or Arc. What happens when we try and load the page? So it is showing. Okay, so we might just have to close Chrome here and just try it again. Cypress, Chrome, start end-to-end testing in Chrome. And this is the gallery modal. Why is it failing there? Oh, right, because we haven't visited a page yet. Okay, so fact. So we're gonna. We already have clicked the button, so we want to Verify that no board shows. There we go. Okay, visit the gallery. All those tests are passing. Golden. Okay, so it can manage inspo boards. Okay, so I think at this point I'm kind of, my brain is kind of mush doing all these Cypress tests. I need a ton of practice and I need to learn a lot about them. But obviously this is just something new for me, so I will continue working on that over the next little while here to try and flesh out these tests a little more and not look like such an idiot on stream. But let's go back to our Notion board to see what we've done. So kind of went over that. That's just more general stuff. Start going through them and see what we can accomplish. So yeah, I mean, we've gone through a bunch of the issues here. And hopefully what I've done has hopefully made a little bit of sense, even if it was a little bit scatterbrained and chaotic. Like I said, I'm trying to learn here as much as I can and as fast as I can, because I know that the front end needs a lot more robust testing, because right now we're basically testing almost nothing. So I'm going to flip these back here. I just want to thank you guys for hanging out here. Again, if you're following me on Twitch, I appreciate it. On YouTube, I appreciate it. If you're not, I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/Nexay. You can see down here at the bottom right here. So Twitch and X, I'm /Nexay. And on YouTube, I'm youtube.com/@Nexay_dev. I try to stream every Sunday. The last couple of weeks I have been slacking a little bit, just like I said, because of family stuff, but I'm going to be trying to be more regular again here, do some more longer streams, and maybe even doing a couple like midweek ones where they're a little shorter, if I can find the time. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate you guys hanging out. If you have any comments, leave them around. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Later.